Look, this isn't just about picking a logo to put on your keychain. It's about choosing a whole philosophy. And by the time we're done here, I promise you'll have a much clearer picture of which brand's way of thinking really clicks with yours. So here's how we're gonna break it all down. First, we'll talk about the rivalry itself. Then we'll get behind the wheel and compare how they actually drive and what the interiors feel like. After that, we'll get practical and crunch some numbers on ownership costs, look at a few top models for this year, and then finally wrap it all up to help you figure out what your priority really is. Okay, first things first, let's just get this out of the way. There is no single best brand here. It's not that simple. The whole choice honestly boils down to a much more personal question. What do you really want from a car? And really, it all comes down to what you see right here. These two mottos say it all. BMW has spent decades building its reputation as the ultimate driving machine. For them, everything is about that pure connection between the driver, the car, and the road. Mercedes-Benz, though, they're aiming to be the pinnacle of luxury, focusing on sublime comfort, quiet refinement, and creating this peaceful sanctuary that shields you from the chaos outside. All right, so how does that whole philosophy actually feel when you're on the road? I mean, this is where the differences just become crystal clear. It really asks the question, how do you want your car to connect with you? And here's where those ideas become real. When you're driving a BMW, you're getting sharp, incredibly responsive steering. The suspension is definitely on the firmer, sportier side. You feel the road, its textures, its curves, and that's the whole point. A Mercedes? Well, it takes the complete opposite approach. It's engineered for this plush, composed ride that just glides over bumps and isolates you from all the noise and harshness of the road. One lets you feel it all, the other helps you forget it's even there. And you know, that exact same thinking carries right on over to the inside of the car. Is it a space built for the driver to command, or is it a space built for everyone inside to just relax? A BMW interior, it's a true driver's cockpit. You'll notice right away almost everything is canted just a little bit towards you, the driver. All the controls are right where your hands want them to be, designed to keep your focus on the drive. And their iDrive system, their central infotainment controller, is famous for being one of the most intuitive and easy-to-use systems out there. It's clean, it's functional, and it's all about the business of driving. But then you step into a modern Mercedes, and whoa, you're in a first-class cabin. It's an experience. There are rich, opulent materials everywhere you look and touch. And then there's the showstopper, that optional MBUX hyperscreen. It's this one seamless piece of glass that turns the entire dashboard into a stunning, futuristic display. And the ambient lighting, it's not just a little strip of light. It's a core design element that creates this incredible, sophisticated, lounge-like vibe. Okay, let's get practical for a minute. Driving pleasure and high-tech luxury are amazing, but what about the long run? Because it's not just about that sticker price, right? We need to look at the whole picture. So when it comes to long-term costs, it's a bit of a trade-off. In a lot of recent reliability studies, BMW has actually been getting slightly higher marks, which is interesting. But when it's time to sell the car down the road, Mercedes-Benz has historically done a little better at holding its value, especially with their big sedans like the S-Class and E-Class. And what about keeping them on the road? As you can see here, the annual maintenance costs are, well, they're pretty darn close. BMW's range might creep a little higher at the top end, but for the most part, they overlap quite a bit. So yeah, bottom line, neither one is cheap to maintain, but there isn't some massive budget-breaking gap between them. Now for the really fun part. Let's actually look at some of these standout cars and see how these brand philosophies play out in the real world. If you just plain love to drive, the BMW 3 Series is almost the default answer. And for good reason. For decades, this car has been the absolute benchmark in its class. It just perfectly balances being comfortable enough for your daily commute with that sharp, agile handling that driving enthusiasts live for. It is the quintessential BMW experience. But if your goal is to arrive at your destination in absolute total comfort and style, there's just nothing else like the Mercedes-Benz S-Class. It is, and pretty much always has been, the gold standard for a full-size luxury car. And it's not just about the cushy ride, it's also a rolling showcase for the very latest technology, especially advanced safety features like their pre-safe systems, which can actually prepare the car for a crash it thinks is about to happen. Need something a bit more practical for the family? Well, in the super popular SUV world, the BMW X5 is famous for its powerful engines and being surprisingly fun to drive for its size. But if you want a more tech-forward and incredibly comfortable family ride, the Mercedes-Benz GLC is a fantastic pick, especially in its super modern electric version. And what if you want to turn things all the way up to 11? Both brands have legendary performance divisions. BMW's M cars, think of the M3. They are engineered with surgical precision for a racetrack. Mercedes-AMG, on the other hand, is famous for just raw, thunderous power and absolutely brutal straight-line acceleration. The best way to think about it? It's like a scalpel versus a sledgehammer. Both are effective, just in very different ways. So we've talked about the feel, the interior, the cost, and the heavy hitters from each lineup. It's time to bring it all home and actually make the choice. You know, when you strip everything else away, it really boils down to this one fundamental question. Are you buying a car for the thrilling, visceral feeling of the drive itself, or are you buying it for the serene, isolated, peaceful comfort of the ride? One is all about engagement, the other is all about tranquility. So here's the final question to ask yourself. Does the idea of a perfectly balanced, agile machine that connects you to every inch of the road, like that 3 Series, get your heart racing? Or does the thought of a tech-rich, supremely comfortable cruiser that completely insulates you from the world, like that GLC, sound like the perfect escape? Your gut answer to that question, that's going to tell you everything you need